because I mean, even when I first moved back to DC, and I mean, even to add context to this too, because we're all rather stocky black men. Like we all kind of work out. None of us are actually like small, but still, that's not what you judge people off of. And I've gotten to the point where, and both of these individuals kind of count for this. Like I got to the point where either like when I'm pulled over up here, like I either call somebody. Rich has been called one night. I was pulled over, or I stream it live, and I'm just like, I need somebody to know what's going on. Like I don't automatically assume something bad's gonna happen, but you have that feeling like if something bad's happened, I need to document it. And I remember the most vivid one, and it was the one most recently, like when I called Rich, and he ended up calling me back to find out what was going on. I had just bought a car.
Stay on the phone with you that whole time.
Exactly. It didn't have plates on it because I had just bought it. Like it was literally like a day or two old, like brand new. A cop in DC pulled me over, blatantly harassed me. And this speaks to how cops perceive cops as well. And I come back home, and as I'm coming back home after the cop pulled me over, I called Rich, let him know what was going on. I recorded the incident. I head back home. I got pulled over again, close to home because I didn't have plates. And the cop that pulled me over comes up to the window. I explain the situation. I'm like, look, I don't have plates yet. This is why I don't have plates yet. But the car's gonna be registered soon. Not a big deal. And he goes, oh, cool, no problem, no big deal. It's a black cop, and he asked me, because I told him I had just got pulled over for it. And he says to me, must have been a white cop. This literally less than 6 miles from the first place I was first pulled over.
You got pulled over twice.
I got pulled over twice the same night. During the second stop, he called me right back. Rich called me right back, and he stayed on the phone the whole time. And the cop pulled me over. He ran everything, all my documentation, my insurance, everything was 100%, as it always is. I explained to him the situation. I even explained to him that, I'm not a resident of the state, so I got to go back down the rest of this car. He literally says, no problem. I see your address. You live right there, because he pulled me over at the parking lot.
Yeah, like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah. No big deal. And he was like, fine, that's more than understandable. And then for him to say that, I'm like, man, that just goes to speak to how culturally different it is. And it's funny though, because even in Black Panther, like they hinted on that, on a cultural aspect at the beginning. So when Killmonger was in the museum, and he's talking about, you got all this security on me, but you're not paying attention to what you put in your body. And that speaks to me on several levels, because I can't even think of how many places I walked into where somebody was following me around, or I walked in somewhere and there was security on me, and I'm looking around. Like I've literally been somewhere with people following me around, and I'm watching somebody else steal. and I'm like, but you all are following me and diverting your attention. And what that speaks to is you're paying attention to everything except what you need to be paying attention to. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not something that we make up. That is something that we deal with. And I don't even think people would be able to deal with it if they had to deal with it as regularly as we deal with it.
Well, we become desensitized to it because it's like
we do
part of our everyday life, which is sad.
Yeah.
But it's the only way that you can go through life without doing something to people.
Yeah.
So like I think philosophically, I'm more side with Killmonger because to him, it's like if Wakanda has the resources to help people who they say are their brothers and sisters, why not? Especially in his case where he's a direct descendant.
Yeah.
He is Wakandan. And they left him and killed his father. And all he wants is to right the wrongs. Yeah. Now, where I diverge from him is that I didn't feel that his philosophy was about generational prosperity.
It wasn't.
It was about filling that hole that was left from his father getting killed. Which I understand 100%. But I don't know where I think I would be the guy that I wouldn't always side with T'Chaka either, because he was just about let's sit on our riches and hide.
Yeah.
Let's hide. Let's just hide from the world. And I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I am. This is what I have. Do something about it. Fuck you.
Yeah. And you know, that's like many people have said, and I've even read it in a couple of reviews. Like it almost at points in the movie, it feels like a Malcolm X versus MLK type situation, right? His thing wasn't long-term prosperity, and as a person that has traveled a lot, has lived abroad a lot, like I can't say like I noticed that. I won't even say black people. I'll say people of darker complexion in general, whether it's Indians or Arabs of certain descent or whatever. But if you're living in a modernized civilization where there's a disenfranchised population, it's usually us. And I hate to put it that way, but it's usually us. And that's another reason he hit so close to home, because like I don't know, I just feel like I've lived outside the U.S. so much, and other places are nothing like the U.S. when it comes to oppression. Like we've mastered a lot of things, and that's one of them. At least when it comes to African Americans. Other places you might find women oppressed more. You might find certain religious demographics oppressed more, but America has even modernized disenfranchising people. We've set the standard for everything from gentrification to coming up with systematic ways to oppress people and keep them oppressed.
Discriminatory lending to redlining.
Exactly. While making them feel like they're free. And everything about that character hit home with me after living abroad and giving so much to the country itself. Like I told somebody this recently, like I don't think there's many people that I know personally. I know there's people on earth, but not people that I know personally that has had as much taken from them by the country as I have when it comes to years I've given up. I'm not even saying taken in the sense of done wrong. I'm saying taken in the sense of I have fought and risked my life on behalf of a country that I know for a fact would not do the same for me. And I caveat that by saying primarily the government. Like I got friends of every single race I can think of, and every last one of them would put their lives on the line for me. But if it would come down to the legal system or Congress or
you're getting thrown in the bus.
You know, yeah, exactly. Whoever, I'm getting thrown under the bus, and a lot of Killmonger's character, I think, hit that, and like he put the nail in the coffin with his last line when he said
the hardest line of the movie.
Exactly, when he said, you know, bury me at the sea with my ancestor that jumped from the ships, because they knew that death was better than bondage. Like whether people realize it or not, you're still in a form of bondage right now. You are, yeah. and that's hard to deal with, but you have to come to terms with it, else it'll stress you out. Like you said, we've been desensitized to it because we got to deal with it. Otherwise, you're stressed forever. And I sit here and I look at that and I'm like, I can relate to exactly what he was saying and exactly what he was trying to do in the near term. The long term, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the technology, and fighting your enemy exactly how your enemy is fighting you is going to end up negatively in the end, because it always does. Like even if you were to turn around and be the oppressor, oppressed people always rise up eventually. I mean, whether we see it in our lifetime or not, there hasn't been an empire in the history of the world that has ever lasted forever. And usually its undoing was either internal unrest or disenfranchised people rising up. And
always hubris too.
Exactly. And those are things that you have to weigh, measure, and understand. And I don't think people fully think that far ahead, because honestly, I'm not concerned about what happens from now and even to the time I'm down. I'm more concerned with what does my son and his generation change? What does his generation and the generation after that change? And something like this, as a culture, is pivotal, because we haven't been on the screen as a major Hollywood positive, superhero role model in I don't even know ever. Like who really? You know, on that scale.
As a superhero, but in general.
On a superhero. There's been other movies where people were positive role models. Can't say that. You had Denzel in several roles, Will Smith in several roles where they were positive people. But from superhero, and you got to think about how big Marvel is. You got to think about how big the Avengers is. Like these movies, almost every Avengers movie, the Marvel movies, opened above $100,000 or $200,000. Like
these are juggernauts.
Yeah, they are massive productions. Like they're enormous.
So major shout out to Ryan Coogler,
Tons.
Chadwick Boseman,
Tons.
Angela Bassett,
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan,
Yep.
like Forrest Whitaker, Letitia Wright. I keep forgetting what Jones' name is, but the Michonne from The Walking Dead, the Peter Nyong'o, and Daniel Kaluuya and everyone. Daniel Kaluuya, who I hope wins the Oscar for an amazing performance in Get Out.
Oscars were tonight.
No, it's next week.
Nah, that's next week.
It's next Sunday.
It's in March, so it's 2 weeks from now.
But you know what though?
Might be next week.
I don't even go so far as to say big shout out to them for taking the risk. Like everybody talk about, this being a black cast and doing everything, but we sitting here and we know for a fact, had this movie done poorly, they would have buried all their careers.
They had to do what they've done now,
Yep.
or would have been considered a failure.
It would have been considered a failure. They would have buried their careers would be practically over.
But a lot of superstars are either brighter or born after this.
So, did you guys see the interview with Chadwick while he was during production? He met with a cancer patient.
No, I didn't see that.
And his mother, Caucasian kid. The kid told him face to face. He went to the hospital to see him, spend time with him during production. And his mother said that her son told her he stayed alive so he could see this movie. So Chadwick said he put everything in his soul to fucking hit a home run with this movie.
Damn. I don't think we can go anywhere from there.
ain't no way you can go from there, man.
He stayed alive.
Jesus.
So he could watch this movie.
That just speaks to the power of expression and art.
He and Chadwick cried during his interview.
So that make me cry too.
So you guys should definitely look that up.
So I know this goes without saying, but would you recommend people see this movie?
Oh, absolutely, man, absolutely. And I'm glad you even said that though, because that speaks back to another point we made earlier. Like we are literally the type of people where like everything we do hard. Like we are, and I mean people can consider it extra or whatever, but people know for a fact black people do the most. Like I even hate to say it that way, but like if we are loyal to people, if we're gonna do something, no matter how we do it, we're gonna just go ahead and put our all into it, because what else can you do? I mean, you even look at rap culture. These guys, it could be the best or the worst rap ever. They just gonna believe that it's the best, and they gonna put their all into it.
And more power to them.
Exactly, more power to them, because that's how we operate. It ain't like we go into something wishing ill will or wishing failure. So not only would I recommend somebody see this movie, what I would recommend is anybody not of African descent, anybody not of African American descent, go and see this movie and step outside yourself and try to relate to not just the culture, but I mean, like, I think it came out best when they talk about Get Out, and one of the things that, who was it, Peele or Keenan or whoever
Peele.
made it, Peele, he said, this is like, Get Out was one of those movies that you got to kind of watch through black goggles, like you got 3D lenses, you got to watch it through a black lens, because there are a lot of subtleties that you might not pick up on that we actually have to deal with, and we know we're going to deal with and prepared to deal with from the time our alarm goes off in the morning.
Yeah.
And we know it's not going to stop, and it may not stop even after we go to bed at night. And for you to really be able to relate to that, like, you got to kind of look at every detail of this movie, because I'm sure it hit on some things that I fully missed. And I've seen the movie 2 or 3 times now, and I'm probably going to see it 2 or 3 more times, because every time I see it,
You get something more.
I get something more, because it relates to who I am. I can watch a superhero movie and appreciate it and love how it's going to tie into Avengers Infinity Wars, but this movie is something different.
Yep.
And that's why I would recommend that people go and see it.
Trey?
I definitely recommend it. Again, I'm not one to go see Marvels or comics, but